First tonight, U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton has again taken responsibility for last year's attack on the U.S. diplomatic compound in Benghazi, Libya.
The attack left 4 Americans dead, including the U.S. ambassador, and raised big questions about embassy security. During testimony Wednesday before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Clinton said she's adopting recommendations from the Accountability Review Board investigating the attack. She says they are intended to increase the safety of diplomats and reduce the chances of another Benghazi happening again. She said the State Department is fighting a spreading terrorist threat, but at the same time, Clinton said the issue is not just a matter of policy, it is personal.
I stood next to President Obama as the Marines carried those flag-draped caskets off the plane at Andrews. I put my arms around the mothers and fathers, the sisters and brothers, the sons and daughters, and the wives left alone to raise their children.
Senators on both sides of the aisle were eager to question Mrs. Clinton about the Benghazi attack. And joining me now to talk more about it is VOA State Department correspondent Scott Stearns. Thank you for joining us today, Scott. A very emotional Secretary of State there before the Foreign Relations Committee. Give us a sense of the mood. This was a very anticipated hearing.
Well, not surprisingly, Secretary Clinton received a far warmer reception from members of her own political party, Democrats, on the committee, talking about the need for Congress to allow the State Department to have more money to spend on security and have some more flexibility as to how it spends that money to secure U.S. diplomats abroad. Members of the opposition Republican Party on the committee took a far harder line with Secretary Clinton, her former colleague in the Senate, John McCain, saying that the answers that she provided this morning were unsatisfactory. A new senator on the panel, Rand Paul, saying that if he had determined that there was some negligence on Secretary Clinton's part in response to the Benghazi attacks, he would have asked for her to step down.
And the fact that Secretary Clinton says she's going to abide by the recommendations, what exactly does that mean going forward? And also she did emphasize that Libya is not out of danger yet, that more needs to be done. And then she also stressed this point about more collaboration or the administration and Congress getting its act together. Give us an insight into what that all means.
As she said in a letter to the committee in December, she accepted all of the recommendations of an independent review of what went on in Benghazi, and she told senators today that 85% of those recommendations will be well underway, if not complete, by the end of March. It's her intention to have that process well entrenched at state before she steps down, probably sometime later this month. She also did speak of the need to work more closely with Congress, especially when evaluating spending for high-threat posts overseas.
Mm-hmm. Just briefly before you go, Scott, of course, the confirmation hearing for her predecessor, John Kerry, is scheduled anytime soon. Can you tell us what we can expect from that particular confirmation hearing, and how much of this, what happened today, is going to carry to him?
The hearing for her successor, Senator John Kerry, will be tomorrow. Before this same committee, Secretary Clinton is expected to introduce Senator Kerry. I imagine that some of his colleagues will speak to him about Benghazi, but clearly he's the Secretary of State for far more issues than just Libya. So I imagine that Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan, the general Arab Spring across North Africa will hear from Senator Kerry tomorrow about how he sees those situations working moving forward in a second Obama administration.
Thank you so much, Scott Stearns, for that report from the State Department.